guys doing? I hope you guys having an amazing weekend. I know it's still early in the morning. It's what, 7:25. Most of you might still be asleep at this time, but this is my only opportunity I have to interact with you because I'm on my way to work. I usually, when I'm working weekends, right, or Saturday, I usually start at 1 p.m. But we're really way understaffed today, right? It's so short staffed that my LT asked me yesterday if I could come in a little early today so I can help them out with a lot of things going on in the morning. So I said yes. As much as it sucks for me to be a 16-hour day for me, but it's money into my bank account, right? You guys know how I do it, right? I really don't complain about working overtime because it's one of the ways I make more money to allow me to do the things that I'm doing in Congo, in Africa, right? So you already know what time it is. You know the stuff that we talk about, and I will continue to talk about this until some of you get annoyed and switch channels, but I doubt it. There's a really good reason you guys keep coming back to hear what I gotta say, to hang out with me, because we all have a lot of things in common, don't we, right? So because of that, it makes me feel entitled to bring you this sort of content, to have this conversation, help each other out, motivate one another, so that our Congo, which ultimately supposed to be the most powerful nation in the continent of Africa, given the amount of resources that we have in our soil, but because of Western imperialism, we are still finding ourselves in a position of weakness, and the rest you imagine now, right? But I'm not trying to get a little political today. But hey, I'm very excited, man. I'm so happy to be here right in front of you. I've been trying to go live since the week started, but it's been very challenging for me. You know why? But because I got stuff going on. I'm handling business in Congo. That's why it's still difficult for me to continue to deliver on a daily basis as much as I would like to. Like as we speak, well, yesterday I was just in the middle of doing a live stream when I got a phone call about something that was taking place on the farm. And it was really, really great news. We're also going to talk about that. Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Make sure to hit the like button as you join the chat. Do me a favor, drop in the comment section where you're tuning in from, and I will really appreciate it. All right, looks like there's a few people in the chat, so we might give it a couple more minutes, wait for other folks to join in so we can have this conversation, all right? So today's topic, well, I'm gonna do this in like episodes, right? I started like doing business in Congo, in Africa in general, but / Congo because that's where I'm from, that's where I'm doing my thing. I can't really speak on behalf of other African countries because I'm not yet doing business in any of them but Congo. But if you're a Congolese or you're from any African nation but you would love to do business in Congo, you may want to stick around and hear what I got to say, all right, about doing business in Congo and so forth. But I feel comfortable to put in the title Africa in general, because a lot of African countries have a lot of things in common. So the same reality you will encounter in doing business in Congo, you will potentially encounter the same scenario in a lot of other African countries. So that's why makes me feel as though by putting the title that Africa, doing business in Africa in general, right? But I made sure that I precise in Congo, Kinshasa. Well, without further ado, let's jump straight to today's topic. So you guys are watching this video because you want to do business in Africa. You want to move to Africa to start a business, or you are from Africa, but you live abroad, but you would like to start a business in Africa and hopefully succeed, right? Because this channel is about success. We are here encouraging people to succeed, to encouraging more Congolese or Africans in the diaspora to move back to the continent of Africa to invest as much as they can. But you can't afford to lose money neither, because we all know the reality we got to go through making money here, working in the West. It could be challenging sometimes. Look at me, it's Saturday. I should have stayed home, right? Spend time with friends, family, and all, but I'm here on my way to work because I got to make this money to continue to finance my project that I got going on back at home in Congo. So, and a lot of you have doing whatever you are doing to make sure that happens. However, all the efforts that we are coming up with, all the effort that we are putting in to save money to go start a business, we can afford to lose. We can afford not to succeed, okay? Therefore, first thing that you should keep in mind when doing business in Africa or planning on doing business in Africa, check this out. If you're going for the very first time, don't just go in there and just start investing. No, go over there, spend some time, consider it as more of like a touristic trip while collecting information on whichever area of your interest that you are planning on investing in, okay? Do your research, study. Then once you have collected enough data, you can come back here, check your bank account and say, hey, I think I'm ready. I have enough money to start this project. And also link up with locals, right? Network, create connections, so those people, they will help you out. But not every single one of them it's worth trusting. You understand what I'm saying? Guys, do me a favor. It's more than 15 people in the chat, but there's only one like, okay? But if you can hook me out with more likes, I would really, really appreciate it. You understand what I'm saying? Because the way this YouTube algorithm works, it requires people to like more for you in order for YouTube to also send it out to more people out there, all right? So if you do that, I will really, really appreciate it. Back to the subject. So check this out. You collect your money, you save your money, you go over there, right? But the thing is, make sure you know who you are collaborating with. Keep in mind, I don't take pleasure in saying this, but I hear a lot of people, a lot of expats talk about scamming in Africa, or you know how you careful you need to be with your money, and they're 100% right. But that doesn't mean there aren't trustworthy people that you can do business with in Africa. As long as you do your due diligence and you connect yourself with the right people, you will get better results. I find it very sickening what people are doing. I highly condemn these sort of behaviors, because people don't have no idea what kind of job some of us do here, how much hours we have to work, how much time we have to spend at work, how much hours we have to spend standing up while you are working, right? In their minds, they know that when you come to do business in Africa from the West, somehow you are wealthy, you've made it. But if would I want to take money that I have saved here to go invest in another country? The reason is that because I know that money is never going to be enough to start a business in a Western country. Therefore, because of the affordability of starting a business in Africa, that's what's motivating a lot of people to fly down there to start businesses. And chances are you're going to be more successful. Guess why? Because a lot of people would like to start probably the exact same thing that you are investing in, but because they don't have the capital to start the business, therefore you are going in there strong and you are potentially going to win. But in order for you to win, understand there are things that you must take into account when you are doing business in Africa. You have to take into account of the location where you're setting up your business at. You have to take into account what are the locals' perspective of what you are doing. Because understand, starting certain businesses in Africa, you also have to understand the mentality of locals and how receptive they are in the business that you are doing, right? And it's also important to study the markets to learn, okay, I'm about to do business in Africa, but is there a market for what I'm doing in Africa? All right. Because I remember one time I had someone in the comment tell me that they were planning on like growing, marijuana and like do some medical supply things with that, like edibles and all that kind of stuff. Well, in the Western world, in a lot of African, I mean, in a lot of Western countries, marijuana is becoming legal. Well, let me speak on behalf of America, for instance. There are, in certain states in the United States, weed is legal, and the states and federal levels, in certain states, it is legal in the state level, but not in the federal levels. But they're moving towards where it'll, become legal nationwide, right? People are accepting that, but because it has a lot of factors, that includes, right, people being discriminated against because of the skin of their color. When you are, because there are a lot of people that are locked up here in America for smoking weed, but that are not violent offenders, right? That did not commit violent crimes, and those are the subjects that are consistently coming up at the Senate floor and House of Representatives. They're talking about these issues, trying to find a way to reduce mass incarceration of marginalized communities, which is black people, realistically speaking. And that the efforts of doing that is moving them towards that goal. But people don't see weed the same way in Africa. You understand what I'm saying? So if you want to go set up a business like that, you have to do your due diligence. Depending on whatever African country that you're going in, I can't think one off the top of my head that's very progressive or open when it comes down to marijuana, for instance. All right, cannabis. Those are the type of business that you will probably be more successful in doing in Western countries. But if you want to take those sort of ideas in Africa, there is nothing wrong with it. I'm one of the ones that believe that weed should be legal, especially in America or anywhere in the world. But the image of marijuana that they have put in a lot of people's minds is going to probably, it gives off an image. For instance, in Africa, if you smoke marijuana, they're looking at you as a thug. All right, you're illiterate, you didn't go to school, you're not smart enough, you're bandits, all kinds of label they will throw at you. All right, where versus out here, it's a little different. So the perception of that, it's way more receptive than it is in other African countries. So I had to give you that example to give you an idea. Why is it very important for you to, do your research, study, and learn the markets before you establish, a business in any African countries, right? So it's very important to do that. Hi, bros, family. Hey, how you doing, brother? Hi to you as well. Thank you. And please do me a favor, guys. Those of you that are watching, let me know where you're tuning in from, and also do me a favor, hit that like button, and I will really appreciate it. Back to the subject. Here's the thing. I do business in Congo. I'm farming. I'm doing farming activities. So we know agriculture is a multi-trillion industry. I think I made that pretty clear. I talked about it on the channel before. So if you missed that, you just might want to go back and check out my other live stream and videos that I, put out there to get an idea how much money can be made in this agricultural field. I chose this path because I know it has a lot of potentials. People eat every single day, which means there is a high demand of food. Especially coming from a country like the Democratic Republic of Congo, where I'm originally from, we have a lot of challenges when it comes down to growing food and things like that. One of the benefits of farming or like living in Africa, you eat fresh food almost every single day, probably except for meat options. A lot of meats are imported from either other African countries or other European, countries, whereas the same species are found in Congo. And I don't understand why is it that we are continuing to import food products when we have all of this available lands and arable lands in Congo that we can farm in. That's why when I did my research, I looked into that before I decided that I wanted to buy my land and start a farming. I had to come to that conclusion to bring my motivation to life and go ahead and farm in Congo. Therefore, I am among those that are doing it. And there are still more people that are coming and they are doing business in Congo over and over now. So I chose agriculture. You may develop interest in something different. Whichever you end up choosing, you have my support, and I'll highly encourage that. Wait, honey, sister. Who's that good? I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Why is it that every time somebody comments, I assume it's a man? I do apologize. I'm so sorry about that, all right? I didn't mean to offend anybody. But yeah, I mean, thank you. And let me give a shout out to all of my African and Congolese fellas from London, all right? I think you guys are great. I actually was supposed to fly to London 2 months ago, but that didn't happen due to work-related issues. But I must still make that happen though, because I have a trip coming up in October. I'll be going to Germany, so it'll be an opportunity for me to visit other European countries while I'm out there. So yeah, thank you for tuning in from London. I really, really appreciate that. So back to the subject now. So you guys know that it's very important, right, to do your research. Just like I did, I researched and I collected all the factual evidence as to why I should be motivated to start farming. A lot of people would like to join the same path, especially locals, but they don't have the financial support to get started. With the little bit of what I make, it was enough for me to at least build a pig barn. And now I recently completed my house. Now, as we speak, I got my team work like on the way to another pig farm to purchase piglets that are going to be put onto the farm, like today. Right before I went live, I was on the phone with my guy and my whole team. They're, out there looking and going to different, piggeries and looking at different species, because there are certain ones that I want to, on my farm. You know what I'm saying? And that's the things that we should be doing. So because I'm motivated to do that, it doesn't mean everybody is interested in investing in agriculture. You may want to find another field. But do your own research in order for you to pull the trigger, to go in deep in that. So like, depending how passionate you are about doing business, whatever it is that you have interest in, you still have a lot of homeworks to do. I did those homeworks. It worked for me. And I will hope that some of you will also continue to do the exact same one, so that we all can diversify business sector in Congo. Well, keep in mind, or in Africa, keep in mind, right? We have the privilege to, if you have worked on your credit score here in America, for instance, you can go get a loan. Even though I don't encourage that, I find, financing your project single-handedly is the best approach, because when things start working out, you don't owe nobody no money. You don't have to worry about nothing. Or if things go wrong, if you don't succeed, so you don't lose out on anything. I mean, you still lose, but at least you won't have to return, or you won't have to get onto a payment plan. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I highly encourage people to always rely on the little bit of what you make. When you establish your business, no matter how successful you can be or the mistakes that you will make, you won't stress out about it because you don't owe some people no money. And that is why I personally, right, have been doing business or investing in agriculture with my own money. And with the mistakes that I have made and the loss that I've gone through, it has not affected me as much because I don't owe nobody. And that's the one advantage of doing things on your own. So understand, whatever it is that we are doing, we need local people. No matter, how, I don't know, whatever you want to label them. You don't think they're serious, they're not good business partners, that's fine. But I promise you, there are still trustworthy people you can do business with in Africa. There are still people you can rely upon. I have people on my team that I trust with my money. Therefore, when I built my pig barn, I wasn't there. It got complete. I just built my tiny little farmhouse there where my employee will be housed in. I wasn't in Kinshasa. Didn't it get complete? It didn't get done. Well, I don't care if they were, let's just say, jacking up a little bit of the building material prices, but at the end of the day, they got the job done. And I am satisfied. They are satisfied. And things are moving along, right? But I know that they didn't rip me off because I've traveled, back and forth to Kinshasa multiple times in the past couple of years, that I know prices on the market. And before I send money, trust me, I'm always talking to other people that are not even on the team, that I know who do construction works, people that I grew up with, friends, and other relatives. So I have fairly a great idea of what price is like on the market. And that's why you guys should be doing the same thing too. Understand, where you are investing heavily in Africa, you have the duty to always want to know where your money is being, spent at, what your money is being used for. Because at the end of the day, don't just think that you will just spend this money and things will turn out good. No, you still have a homework to do. You're responsible for how your money gets spent. And if you don't care about your money like that, that's fine. But I do care about my money. That's why I wouldn't want nobody messing with it. That's why I'm working here in America so hard and coming up with this money to send over there. Sometimes I deprive myself of a lot of privileges, a lot of things. I could be traveling, living my best life, but I chose this path because I believe eventually when things get to where I want them to be, I won't need to stay here in this country. That's why I keep telling y'all, when you are investing in Africa or wherever part of the world you're investing in, you should always have a goal and have a mindset. Okay, what am I doing this for? What is the ultimate goal? Me personally, I started investing because I've always wanted to retire early. And I believe that you can make it in Africa. You don't need to be here in the West. I told you a brief story about my father, peace to his soul, who I still consider my role models, my role model till today. He made it in Congo. He has never been to any European countries. Yeah, he worked with Portuguese. He lived in Portugal for a little bit, but he only went there for, to learn, for education purposes. Because my dad didn't go to school, because back in their days, they didn't have, an education system the day we do now. But he went more so with them where he was trained. And then he came back to Congo and he established his business with entrepreneurial classes that he took. He made it. He, how many properties my dad left behind? Bars, hotels, farms, so many things. He owned shops, grocery stores, many things. We had a truck company with 3 tractor trailers my dad owned. You understand what I'm saying? When I go back to those days when I was a child growing up in my parents' house and I saw what my dad did, it was intriguing to me. I'm like, how was my father able to pull this off while people are still complaining how poor and how like opportunities are non-existent here in Congo, which I find ironic because and it's not only my dad. I mean, I have a lot of friends whose parents have made it, and they send them to one of the best schools in the countries, and some of them were sent to go study abroad. I said, if my dad did that, why can I do it? But lucky for me, I came here when I was 19, right? And I realized that this is not the only place where I can be successful, because I don't want to continue to work for someone for the rest of my life. I want to be able to work for myself, establish my own business, you know what I'm saying? Hire local people and actually help them learn just as much as I'm learning. I didn't go to agricultural school. I didn't take no classes, but I am well informed because I'm curious. This is what I'm doing. I am researching, reading books, studying as much as I can to acquire as much knowledge. So when that time comes when I move there permanently to run my farm, boots on the ground, the knowledge that I will have, acquired, I will pass it on to the other people, to the next generation, people that are working on the farm who probably are planning on doing the exact same thing. And we can spread that knowledge. Guess what? Guys, don't be greedy. We need every hands we can get. We need all hands on deck in doing this business in Africa. One person may be doing the same thing, but you can do the exact same thing but in a more different way to make yourself stand out. I always say this to people. Listen, just because other people are doing it doesn't mean the market is saturated. No, you can come and do the same thing, but with a whole different strategy, and you can still win. You see what I'm saying? All right, let me see here. Whenever you come in, let me know. I'll be more than welcome. Oh, that would be fantastic. I know, right? Libota mo bimbango parce que soto to sungani biso na biso te donc ma plein vraiment azo biso ndingo sakanate. Nazabande kwe bele in Europe. I apologize for those of you that only speak English, right? But sometimes, you gotta go to like your native, your native tongue and talk to your folks a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, maybe bato bele na Europe wala. Pour na bango, msuto s'appelle déjà en contact. Owa Congolais balanda la chaîne, donc masolo beneze bele to sala to so na batu. Faut kutana to okabola masolo et tout et voilà, peut-être un jour so bo créer le monde en Afrique dans Congo. Moi je suis déjà là, na ona sala to sungana. All right, so back to English. So guys, right? So after you have collected enough data about a certain African country you are attracted to doing business in, then right, you come back, you set up a plan. How am I going to proceed? Okay, and I guarantee you, locals, I mean, like I said, it's very difficult to find people you can trust, right? Especially when we talk about African countries, and there is like this image of Africans that are, spread throughout the world, that they're scamming and other bad practices and all. But let me tell you something. Yes, scamming is happening in Africa. It has been happening for a very long time. But understand, every society has this issue. It has its issues. Just like in America, there are a lot of issues here. But Trust me, if you want me to cover scamming in America, I will. Because people scam big time in America too. I'm a cop, right? As most of you know, should know by now. And we deal with a lot of public. We deal with public on a daily basis. We go to numerous calls. All right. I got a lot of stories to tell, but I prefer to keep my work-related convo with my coworkers, because some certain things, when I put them out there on my channel, I don't want to be a target. But I will be more than glad to speak on those issues whenever I'm ready to retire. Then I can talk all smack that I want. But if we want to talk about scamming, scamming is happening in America. Scamming happens everywhere. You may say, oh, no, a lot of scammings that are happening in Africa, those are petty, scamming. But people scam here big time. I'm talking about whites, black, all races scam here in America too. So don't come out here with that sort of BS saying that, oh, it's worse over there in Africa. No, it ain't. No, it's not. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, let me tell you this. I'm getting a video call from my guys who I just told you are there looking for piglets, right? So I gotta pick that up because they have to show me the species that I was talking about, so we can make decisions together, because those pigs are gonna be moving into my farm, and I'm gonna share that with you guys. I had to end this live stream here because I got business to handle. But guys, stay tuned. When I come back here, I'll talk to you about what's going on the farm, all right? So thank you for tuning in, and I'll wish a happy Saturday.